So I think we have some major strengths actually in Europe that make me very optimistic about the European market. One is we're very strong when it comes to research, and there's a lot of very bright people developing solutions on top of these research outcomes. And I think we have to do that in a more predominant way. So focus on what we're strong in when it comes to research and building products on top of that. The second thing is, and you can see that actually on the conference today, also here in Catalonia, there's so many kind of established companies that want to use AI to become more effective, and they're looking out for what are actually solutions from the European market that guarantee that my data actually stays here in Europe. And that's where the startup industry comes in, and where a lot of kind of innovators have now created products that actually even fit to niche solutions. For example, in the R&D field, where there's a lot of kind of value within using AI, there's a load of startups that have specialized on this niche and are helping companies through kind of these issues. And that's making me hugely confident that we are finding, especially in this vertical SaaS direction, a good market where we can become successful. I think at the moment it is a challenge, especially to smaller companies and startups, because the EU AI Act is not very clear in what it actually means, right? So the document is huge. There's a lot of lawyers specializing on this now, helping you through kind of identifying what does the AI Act mean for me. And I think this will be a kind of a challenging short time ahead of us until we've actually identified what does the AI Act mean for us. I think the challenge that I'm majorly seeing, though, is not that the AI Act is too strict and is prohibiting us from building AI, but actually the narrative is more the thing that's killing us. So I've just come back, for example, from a trip to Silicon Valley, and one of the second things that an investor there asked you is, hey, you're building AI in Europe. Is that even possible? I mean, the AI Act is so strict. So you can see that throughout the globe, people are thinking that you cannot build AI in Europe, and that's just strictly not possible, right? Or that's not right. We can build AI here, and we're doing it, and the AI Act is not going to be a challenge here. So just take the time to really identify what does it mean for your use cases, how do you become compliant. I think after this phase of becoming compliant, it will be a major strength actually for us, because it also means that we've pinpointed down what do we actually want for the European market, what don't we want. Things like social scoring, for example, where we just as Europeans say this is something that we do not want to discuss or even get to the market here. So these are things that are on the red list, and for a reason. So please don't get kind of disqualified or discomforted on building and innovating in the AI space. This is exactly the direction we have to go. My answer is very focused on Fortune 500 companies, because those are the ones I work with very closely in Europe. So what I'm seeing is that a lot of these companies have experimented with AI, and especially Gen AI, over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. So they usually have a list of 200, 300, sometimes even 400 use cases. So a load of ideas. And now it's down to them to actually say, okay, which ones do we want to prioritize? Where's the value? And focus on those. And what I mean with focus is there's a lot of, for example, when you look at the data, reusability within AI. So you have to kind of get a data platform and form where you can say, okay, you're reusing this data for each use case that's coming up. Right at this moment, most companies are, for every use case, identifying which data do I need, where do I find this data, cleansing it, structuring it. So that's a tedious job that no one wants to actually focus on. Do that once and then reuse it for every use case. Also, when it comes to platform considerations, which vendors to work with, this is also something that you should do once and then reuse for every use case, so that you're building your AI stack to scale. And that's the phase we're in right now. Everyone's kind of still stuck experimenting and now focusing on how to create value by scaling AI. And that's a very promising phase we're looking into ahead. You can actually use ChatGPT for this, right? So if you look at the paid version of ChatGPT, you will find a deep research button, and it's helping you research the internet and come out with kind of a very intense briefing on your question. So play around with that and figure out how can you get a prompt going that actually works for your persona, right? So I think this entire prompting skill is becoming more and more important also when we want to use kind of deep research as a tool. The second one is vibe coding. There's a lot of people experimenting with vibe coding right now. What I mean with that is, so you don't have to need coding skills these days to actually build an app or build a website, but every one of us can now kind of build an app or build a website, and you can do that by using your natural language. So I'm using Cursor, for example, as a platform for that, but there's a vast number of platforms around. And then also, maybe that's the third point, there's a lot of kind of agent builder platforms. One I like to use is a platform from a Berlin startup called N8N. And what they're helping you do is kind of, you have a process that you're using every day for a very kind of reoccurring activity, and you can go around and use APIs to, for example, your Google Drive or your Microsoft SharePoint or your mail and so on, to actually automate the entire process. So you can build your own agent for whatever task you have at hand. I'm using it, for example, for bookkeeping, where I have invoices coming in via email. These invoices are being kind of pulled out of my email and uploaded to G Drive in a certain format. And I find that hugely convenient. So it's time now to get excited by this and play around. I think the biggest mistake we can do is actually not getting active and talking too much about it, because we're talking a huge amount about AI, but I'm still seeing a lot of companies that are talking about more the risks, and the risks are actually challenging us to getting into action. So all risks can be, there's technological solution to close to every risk. So figure those out and try to generate kind of a sandbox where you can do nothing wrong and your staff can't do anything wrong. But it's the best time, I think, to experiment with AI and learn from that.